Hello everyone and welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna, your filthy casual place for all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna and we are here back to talk about my 49ers, my San Francisco 49ers, as they recently took on the LA Rams down in Los Angeles in SoFi Stadium in their Week 8 matchup. It was the second meeting of the season after they last met in Week 4 in San Francisco, where the Niners beat them 24-9. But this time around, the matchup was in LA. And, well, let's talk about this game that recently happened. And, going into it, it initially looked like, the Niners coming off two very bad games against the Falcons and the Chiefs, where they were getting their asses whooped. It was going to look like one of those games where the Niners were going to play a lot of 49ers football. Yeah, a lot of bad offense. The defense got a little exposed against the Chiefs. The corners were getting burnt, toasted, crispy in the last couple of weeks. There's not a lot of pass rush by the defensive line. So, this was a prime opportunity for the Rams coming off a bye week to potentially get one on the 49ers and finally get one in the regular season. But then a man by the name of Christian McCaffrey was unleashed, and the offense, all of a sudden, and yes, that includes Jimmy Garbage Fail, went into another gear and sent the entirety of Los Angeles to Rams Ranch. I can't believe I've said that. And then the Niners, by the end of this game in Week 8, got a season sweep yet again down in LA. So, and initially it didn't look like it that way because, sure, they stopped on their opening drive. And for whatever reason, the Rams tried to beat the Niners at their own game with the screen passes. And sure, it worked to some varying degrees in the first half. But then the second half came, and yeah, that was another story. But we'll get to that in a moment. And then once the Niners got on the field on offense, we were immediately reminded why they still need to get rid of Jimmy Garbage Fail after the season. He missed Ray McCloud on a deep pass. And then Jimmy Garbage Fail nearly got picked off. And then they had the punt. And then the 49ers defense, they would have their on and off moments during this game against the Rams, in which on their second drive of the whole game, they went on this very, very slow drive. Yeah, it was a really, really slow drive. It took 17 plays and took up a large chunk of the first quarter. And during this very long drive, Charvarius Ward got hurt. But good thing he came back, but still, a little worrying there. And then D'Amico Ryans, the defensive coordinator, for whatever reason, kept putting Jimmy Ward in the slot position corner. When it's been proven, like for the last couple of games, he's clearly not good at that spot. He clearly can't play in that spot. And even implied himself after the Chiefs game that he doesn't want to play in that spot. And sure, there's no Emmanuel Mosley and Ambry Thomas and Diomodre Lenore, their backups. They're inconsistent and they're borderline bad. But that's what happens when they haven't played a whole lot during the season. But you have to use them. You got to use them. So Matt Stafford gets the Rams on the board for us, 7-0. And the Niners did respond. So they did respond in kind. And how did they respond? They fed Christian McCaffrey. And this is where it may have been a little wrong. And I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, that this Christian McCaffrey trade was going to start to pay off during this game against the Rams. Because this is the point that they were going to start to go ham on the Rams with CMC. So McCaffrey gets a nice touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk. He just lobs that thing like smoothly into the arms of Brandon Ayuk, and it's all tied up. And admittedly, he throws this ball better than Jimmy Garbage Pail usually does. So it's all tied up, but then the Niners defense gets hosed. Like they're getting burnt by the screen passes by Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and even Allen Robinson. Like, yikes, man, come on. Like, it's one thing that you get burnt by the Chiefs last week because, yes, you're unhealthy and you were playing a bunch of 49ers football last week and this week, apparently. And, yeah, Cooper Kupp gets a responding touchdown, 14-7. And then you get to the end of the first half. Jimmy Garbagefale gets sacked because he can't unglue himself out of the pocket like he usually does by Leonard Floyd and Mike McGlinchey in the offensive line. Yeah, not exactly great during this red zone trip because they kept getting penalized for a lot of undisciplined shit. The smallest stuff they were doing. Like, come on, guys. Can we tighten it up a little bit, please? So they're down 14-10 going to the half. They're just lucky that it wasn't like a huge deficit by this point. And I thought to myself, okay, they're only down 14-10. So I can see this going a couple ways. So the Niners can either take the lead and maybe surprise me a little bit, or they take the lead and fluke out this win, fluke out a close one, or the Rams find a way to break it open. So the third option was very close to happening because, of course, when the Niners get the ball first in the second half, they waste this big run by Christian McCaffrey with two big Jimmy Garbagefale plays. Like, because, of course, Jimmy Garbagefale, he throws it into the arms of Jalen Ramsey, but he is fortunate enough that he just like couldn't hold on to the ball to complete the pick. And honestly, that could have resulted in a pick six if he had caught the ball. And then he gets sacked the play after by Aaron Donald. Like, can this man please for needs of his life get out of the pocket? But to be fair on that sack, the right tackle, Spencer Burford, he didn't even look at the pressure incoming. He was just like, hey, my guy. Yeah. I didn't see you clapping. I didn't see you hurrying up the ball. Yeah, let's just look the other way. So, yeah. It was just a bad first start to the second half. But fortunately, the Niners defense and the Red Sea Niners fans that were in Levi Stadium South, they woke up the offense because it took the Niners an eternity on defense. But Stafford and the offense finally got off the field, and the Niners defense finally got some pressure. They finally got to Matthew Stafford a little bit, and they got it strategically this time. The first several couple drives, it was just a lot of bull rushing the passer. Like, come on, man. Can we see a lot of like juke moves, a lot of spin moves on the offensive line here and there? Like, is it hard to just not bull rush the passer? So anyway, and then this is where the game starts to go in the favor of the Niners. This is where the Niners really break it open. So you get a dose of Brandon Ayuk, Jeff Wilson Jr., McCaffrey, getting a lot of chunk plays, albeit Jimmy G screen passes, but it's killing the Rams. And then Jimmy G finally a little bit gets out of the pocket. It's a little delayed, but Christian McCaffrey just waltz smartly into the end zone, almost nearly untouched. He leaps into the air like he's Michael Jordan, and he gets the touchdown nonetheless. And the Niners take the lead 17-14. And this momentum all of a sudden quickly carries over to the defense, and Matthew Stafford gets sacked. They quickly have to punt, and here we go. All of a sudden, the momentum is on the Niners side, and they once again do what they've been doing all game. Feed Dr. Christian McCaffrey CMC all the way to another touchdown. 24-14. The game, the door has broken open, and the Rams are about to go to Ram Ranch. Why do I keep saying that? I don't have no idea, but hey, that's where they belong, right? That's where the LA Rams belong. Anyway, but you notice during the second half, D'Amico Ryans has made the proper adjustments to make the defense, his defense, more focused, really focused. They were pressuring Stafford more. But like I said, it was more strategic. They were looking for the proper openings. They weren't just like, oh, let's go like, ole, bull rushing the passer. And they, once again, got to Matthew Stafford really quick. And they even forced the Rams offense into mistakes. Allen Robinson did get a first down on a couple of drives. But his dumbass decided to taunt Talanoa Hufanga, or safety, and the Rams moved backwards. And then on third down, Tyler Higbee couldn't catch the ball from Stafford, and the Rams had to punt again. And then in the fourth quarter, Jimmy G finally did the impossible. He finally did a thing that he hasn't done in like 5 freaking years. Get out of the pocket. Get out of the freaking pocket. And not only get out of the pocket, not have somewhat happy feet doing so. He gets out of the pocket, and then he throws it deep. All in one play. Where was this in forever, man? And then Ross Dwelly catches the long bomb into the red zone, where he not only does Jimmy G do it once, but he does it twice. Oh my God. Jimmy G does the impossible again. Like, my God. Like, why can't we get more of this? I mean, sure, Trey Lance still should be the starter next season, but hey, for the time being, I guess, can we at least get more of this from Jimmy G? Is it that hard to ask? Is it this hard to ask for a little bit more of this consistency from Jimmy G now and then? I mean, yes, he is who he is at this point, but come on. Can we get more of this, please? So anyway, George Kittle pretty much answers the call, gets an uncovered touchdown, and it's pretty much game from here on out. The Rams are essentially buried into their grave, 31-14. And they tried to play hurry up. They tried to make a comeback happen in their house. It's essentially not their house anymore because Nick Bosa's second sack on Matthew Stafford on second down with over 9 minutes left to go. It just basically led to the Rams giving up. Nick Bosa made them give up. And Sean McVay raised the white flag from that point onward. And they were basically running the ball from that point onward. And there was nothing left for the Niners to do other than, well, they should have taken the starters out because I don't know why they kept them there in the first place because they saw that the Rams were giving up. So why not just take the starters out? I don't know why teams don't do this. When you see the team give up like that and you see you have a sizable lead, take your starters out. Why do teams like the Niners and the Rams and other teams leave their starters out like that? And then once a big injury happens, like a couple weeks ago, it was out in Carolina, they get hurt and they're out for the season. They're like, injuries happen, bruh. It's because you didn't take your starters out when the game was well in hand. And then during the 2-minute drill, such was the case. Cooper Kupp got hurt in the 2-minute drill when he should have been out of the game. Sure, he got up walking, but now apparently it's been reported that he has an ankle injury. You take your starters out when the game is out of reach. When the game is essentially done. Not when you're when you're basically out of it. Or if you're the winning team, there's nothing left to do. It's like you don't need a stat pad. You don't need to do anything analytically. Take the starters out. I don't understand why Christian McCaffrey was still out there with less than 5 minutes to go when the Niners were at midfield. You had Jeff Wilson there. You have Jeff Wilson there. Why didn't you run with him? It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't make any sense to me why they keep the starters out there when the game's already well in hand. So, anyway, You know this game is over with when the losing team, which was the Rams, just runs the ball. They don't even try to throw it downfield with their starting quarterback. And speaking of your starting quarterback, he just takes a knee to end the game. So anyway, the Niners win this game 31-14. Now they're 4-4 going to their bye week in week 9. And gotta say, this was a good response win. After all the shit I gave them for the past couple of weeks, good win to snap that 2-game losing streak. Now, I'm not gonna say that, oh, this is the win that gets them back on track or anything, or this is the win that makes them a Super Bowl team, or this is the thing that sparks a run. No, but this was a good win that hopefully gets something, at least something going. At least get something going. Has some positive momentum going into the bye. That's something that they can build on during their bye week. Now, looking at this game, I look at Christian McCaffrey. He really proved that, yeah, trading for him definitely wasn't a priority, but hell, he really does make a difference on this offense. Like, I really couldn't keep track of how many times Jimmy G either handed the ball off to him or checked it down to him, but man, he really makes a difference on this team. And especially when you have weapons like George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. Like, oh my God, man. He really took over this game today. When Deebo Samuel was out, he stepped up. He really stepped up and took the offense. He really took control of the offense. He bulldozed LA. Just like he did more than 2 weeks ago, except, well, he was with the Panthers, but he's on a more powered offense. And sure, he had a limited quarterback in Jimmy G, but he took what he got with it. He did, and best of all, he did it in more ways than one. So, now granted, CMC has to stay healthy if the Niners want to do something with more than just make the playoffs or like have a winning record or win the division and whatnot. So as long as Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy, then I guess it's worth something. And no, I don't think anyone's talked about this much yet, at least. But I think everyone should look at Fred Warner. He quietly had himself a bounce back game after a couple of bad ones. Because he was flying all over the place, had some nice tackles on the Rams running game or lack thereof, on Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson. He also assisted in a couple of sacks as well. So he really had himself a good game here after a couple of bad ones in the last couple of weeks. And while the Niners did win this game, Seattle is still in first place in the division. So they took care of the New York Giants at home. So the Niners still 3-0 in the division, but Seattle has the better record. They're 5-3 now, and they also have a better NFC record than they do because they did beat both the Giants and the Lions. So they have a better record against common opponents of whatnot. But so still a lot of football to go, but the Niners have a little bit of a more favorable schedule than Seattle, and they may want to pay a little close attention to next week's game against Seattle and Arizona during their bye week, because Arizona, may want to provide a little bit of an upset of sorts on the Seahawks. I mean, do they trust them to do it? That's another story. So anyway, looking at the bye week, there's still a lot to improve on for the 49ers, but hey, it's a good time to get healthy, get some of their players back. At least some of them are coming back off of injured reserve, hopefully. And looking towards after the bye week, I'm not going to look too ahead against the Chargers, but looking ahead towards their schedule, it doesn't seem too daunting as of right now, but, still midway into the season, and things can change on a whim. But we'll see if this offense that we saw in LA in week 8 remains sustainable. But either way, this was an encouraging win by Kyle Shanahan and his team. And let's just hope that they keep this going because, if Kyle Shanahan can get the best of his team, better game plan, be more aggressive on a non-Rams team, then they can definitely make some noise. I don't know why he doesn't provide the same aggression on teams that are not the LA Rams. I don't know why he doesn't, but if he can do that against other non-LA teams, then they could have definitely had more success than they should definitely have by now. If that makes any sense. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the 49ers victory over the LA Rams, completing the season sweep over them once again in 2022. So let me know your thoughts on their victory over LA in week 8 in the comments below. But anyway, this is DylanLasagna, a very cold lasagna, signing out. And keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports and my San Francisco 49ers. And until next time, peace out.